Hi everyone, this is Erica Slayton and I'm coming to you with my latest wisdom video. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties this week a couple times when I was trying to upload the videos. My video recording software was not cooperating. So therefore, I figured I was going to do it on Saturday when everything's fresh. So here we are. We're continuing in our quest of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which has to do with the law of attraction and attracting money into your life, but not just money, but also wonderful other things like relationships and career success and just overall happiness. So I wanted to review this particular chapter because this one is about procrastination and decision making. My mother would definitely agree that when I was in school, namely in about middle school, I started to learn a very fantastic art for procrastination. So since that time, though, of course, in high school, I started to kind of figure out that that was not the way of the world. It was not a good idea. And fortunately, I've gotten better and better at it as I've gotten a little older. I have not had that art as perfected as I used to be. So fortunately, I'm not a procrastinator as much as I used to be at all. So have you ever failed to make a decision based on the opinions of others? Have you ever actually made a decision that was influenced by the decisions or opinions of others? Have you made those decisions based on what your neighbors would think, or your parents, or your friends, or your spouse, or people at work even? Because, of course, as my dad used to always say, everyone has opinions, and they're one of those things I can't say out loud on video, but everyone has them. So anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, that's something that my dad used to always say about opinions. But if you're influenced by the opinions of others, you will actually have no desire of your own. So remember that previously in last week's video, we spoke of a mastermind group, and I myself have one. But basically, it's where you take their opinions to heart. And the reason is because you select this group of people or small group of people because you trust them inherently, and they are completely sympathetic to you and harmonious within your purpose. So close friends and relatives are not always the best for your mastermind group. So keep this in mind if you haven't already formed yours. But and the reason is because oftentimes they'll make it harder on you and handicap you in your decision-making process because they're going to give you their opinions. And then sometimes they might even ridicule you, not necessarily on purpose, but dissuade you from making the right decision for yourself. So think about what's in your heart as far as decision making is concerned. Think about the thousands and thousands of men and women who have inferiority complexes throughout their lives and even have self-confidence issues because of someone else's opinion or ridicule. If you have a friend or a family member, for example, who tends to talk too much, and does not actively listen to you, then, they need to keep their mouth closed, of course, because they're not doing what's called active listening. But don't talk too much yourself, because as you talk too much to people, then you might actually be depriving yourself of knowledge. So when you're speaking too much to someone and you're not actively listening, then you could actually be closing your mind and your brain off to really understanding and listening to what they're having to say, regardless if it's an opinion or not. So just remember that when you're also speaking too much to someone, that you might be disclosing your desires and your plans and your purpose to people who actually take great joy in defeating you or recall that they might ridicule you because they envy you. So choose who you convey your plans and your thoughts and your dreams to very carefully, because obviously this is something that's, deep down in your soul that you want to do, and you might be just kind of giving away the farm, so to speak. Also, keep in mind that everyone out there is looking for an opportunity to put their own desires into action and reality for themselves. So if you have an invention, for example, who in your right mind would actually tell everybody about this wonderful invention, and then later to find out that, surprise, they've actually put it into action before you did. So it's very unwise to do that. So certainly if you have something like that, keep a closed mouth and open your eyes and ears. And then maybe it might behoove you, if you're one of those that likes to talk to everyone about everything, you write the following words in the morning on a piece of paper and then just kind of post it on your mirror so you can see it in the first thing in the morning and the first thing before you go to bed at night. And that is, Tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. So tell the world first what you intend to do, but first show it. So show it and then you can tell it. Certainly, like, how did you come about this idea and stuff like that. But do you realize how much courage it takes to make a decision? Because great decisions could be the foundation of civilizations. Even great risks, such as death, for example, could be as a result of a decision that someone has made. For example, Lincoln, his decision to, write and speak his famous Proclamation of Emancipation, which gave freedom to African American people in the United States. He knew that carrying this out could mean death to a lot of men on the battlefront. And in the end, it actually cost him his own life. And that required tremendous courage on his part. And those people who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. For example, most of the leaders in all walks of life that you see that are successful, they decide on things quickly and firmly. And this is one of the major reasons why they're considered a leader in their field. So indecision is a habit which usually begins when we are young. It actually takes on permanency as we kind of make our way through high school and into college because we don't have a definite purpose. So we need to teach our children to make definite decisions quickly and swiftly. I was actually just talking to my son about this last night, and he's having some issues, with a girl, and he's only 15 years old. And, he's not understanding why she is not making a decision either, to date him or not to date him. And it's very frustrating for him because he's like, I'm a nice guy. Why am I having such a problem? And, as a mom of a teenage boy, it's kind of difficult to understand why a good kid like him is having such trouble with a girl. But, she's obviously made a decision in a different way. And I told him, you have to respect her decision. Anywho, so most people just fall into their employment, for example, not making a definite plan or a decision as to what they wanted to do. And they just choose an employer or career just kind of haphazardly. But for example, when I was young, I wanted a job at a bank as a teller. I knew that I wanted to do that. I knew that it was something that I wanted to do in high school and college, but it required 6 months of cash handling experience. And I didn't have that. I was only 16 years old and no one would let me work until I was turned 16. So I certainly didn't have 6 months of experience like that. But I knew what I wanted and I knew I had to get that experience. So what I did was I found an employer in a retail chain that was willing to give me an opportunity in one of their departments where I was running the cash register in the men's department. So I took them up on the offer of employment because why not? It's going to give me the experience that I need. And so therefore that was my very first job. I worked 6 months. I went back to the bank and I said, I've got my 6 months of cash handling experience. And a few weeks later, I was starting my new job at the bank as a teller. I had a definite purpose and I had a definiteness of decision and knowing what I wanted. So in chapter 8, Napoleon was basically speaking about this definiteness of purpose. And so I have been a procrastinator in decisions my entire life, not just in high school or middle school as far as like assignments, but we're talking about just making decisions in our lives to move on and about our day and be able to, make those decisions and not look back. And I think that's really important. And that's kind of what he was trying to get across in this particular chapter is make the decision that's right for you. Make sure you've thought about it well enough in advance, but not too much because then you're procrastinating. And then just, make it and move on. So I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that you've enjoyed this particular chapter of Think and Grow Rich. And I hope that by now you've picked up the book, but I'm going to be recording the next one early just because I got a little behind this week. So hopefully you'll enjoy the next one too. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for my videos. I look forward to seeing you next time and make it a great one.